July 16, G.R. Kampfer.
When dangers arise, look out for doubt and temptation, for they are the wild beasts of the soul. In northern India, in the land of the gallows, roaring tigers and wild elephants, G.R. Kampfer loved the natives, the half-dazed, half-savaged, half-demonized devil worshippers. He'd come to do battle with the devil. The natives had been repeatedly attacked by a kind of virulent malarial fever, and they believed it was an attack of evil spirits. So Kampfer had to break taboos and drive out evil spirits. It was 3 years before the first Baptist church was founded in the village. After this, the church flourished in different parts of the area. Kampfer went home briefly and then returned to India. He said it had been a delightful experience. The villagers who had fled on his first missionary journey 8 years back now had turned to Christ and were singing hymns in their own tongue. As the church grew, many young men and women joined Kampfer as missionaries. They had to travel long distances and cover 100 miles in 3 days by steamer, railway, and buffalo cart. They crossed long stretches of wild terrain and dense jungle, sleeping together in the same hut, and sometimes in the open air. One night, a prowling tiger invaded the village, and out of one of the nearby huts, the tiger snatched a live pig. In the morning, none of the still alive men were bothered about the loss of the pig. It seemed like a good outcome. Kampfer didn't fear the tigers and called these happy days. He said the gospel spread like a Macedonian invitation to the north. One day, Kampfer was riding his bicycle on a winding and rutted road, and suddenly he had the odd feeling that something very strange was running behind him. He slowed, and as he crossed a culvert, he saw an obstacle in the road that forced him to stop suddenly. 2 seemingly hostile natives with their long hair tied into a topknot blocked his way. Out in front of them, they gripped huge knives and pointed them at Kampfer. He stood motionless. They shouted, "Sahib, we want the kingdom of God." Kampfer then relaxed. Overcome with joy, he spoke with tenderness and respect. Then he led them to the door of the kingdom of God, where they met the King of Kings, King Jesus. After that, Kampfer loved to tell the story with the happy ending about the beautiful church in the village and the people who take the kingdom by storm. The new believers took the kingdom by force, as it says in Matthew 11, verse 12. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and violent men take it by force. Kampfer kept preaching and praying and hanging on to Psalm 30. For his anger is but for a moment, but his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may last for the night, but a shout of joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30. Kampfer said he'd often been afraid. Problems, difficulties, dangers, crises often face the missionary, and there are worse things. Doubt and temptation, these wild beasts of the soul. What avails against them? A mighty song, the assurance of a promise, a lifting up of the eyes, then into the dark, a quickened pace, and another victory. Do their hearts tremble? Let them tremble. The devil trembles even more. A new challenge often brings with it doubt and temptation. When dangers arise, look out for doubt and temptation, for these are the wild beasts of the soul.
Hello, this is John Ramstead, and I'm the host of the Eternal Leadership Podcast, where we equip and inspire leaders to work in God's kingdom, just like G.R. Kampfer. Now, this guy wasn't in the business world, man. This guy was world class. How do you say it? Talk about this. His prayer must have been, God, send me where nobody else wants to go. He steps into India. He says, I am here to do battle with the devil, but I always have to guard my soul. And he goes, I love these people, and they're half crazed and they're devil worshippers, but man, he is just stepping into the gap in love. And I love that, the verse that stood out to me was Matthew 11. And here's what that says. Is from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been subjected to violence, and violent people have been raiding it, right? And he's like, okay, we're stepping into that. So what does that mean to us today? So here's the challenge. Here's some things I was thinking about as I listened to this. I think the first one was more of this. I started reflecting on what are those wild beasts of the soul that we just heard about, the doubts, the temptations that are affecting us, right? I would just challenge each one of us to emulate Kampfer's faith and his trust in God for that protection and that guidance. And I think here's the other challenge that came out of this for me is, what if we all identified one area of our life, or maybe an area of our community, where we could actually step in and make a difference, right? Maybe it's in our marriage. Maybe it's the relationship with our kids. Maybe it's that one thing in our community that just keeps bothering us. And what if we could do one thing? It could be volunteering at a homeless shelter. I do a lot of work volunteering, working with inner city kids that just need a mentor. So there's a lot of things that we could do to just step into that gap, put aside some of those doubts and fears that we have, and trust God to partner with him with the work that he's doing out in the world. All right, man, keep knocking them alive, and thanks for listening.